For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I guess I've got to do the whole Happy Pride and blah, blah, blah thing because it's that month. You know, I say this every year. You know Pride is coming when all of a sudden you see rainbow flags in all the stores and the staff is wearing, rainbow flag shirts with the branded logos now and I just... It's actually becoming, here's the thing. Yes, you've got a lot in the gay community, or the LGBT, whatever, it used to be gay. You've got everybody in the gay community who used to just think that this was a great festival for them. And that's kind of what made it cool though, right? Was like, it was just something for our group, like it was our clique. Yeah. And now it's become, it's a good thing. I'm not complaining that people are accepting of gay people, obviously, but it's, it's kind of like it's become a party for everybody. And it's sort of, I don't know how I feel about it. Well, here's the thing. I've never participated in Pride anyway, so I don't give a shit about it. I really don't. And it's okay to be that way. If you want to get out there and party and strip down and flounce around and rave until the sun comes up, have at it. Do whatever you want. I don't care. It's just not for me. It's not my scene. So this whole Pride Month thing, I'm also torn when people say to me, Happy Pride, because I get a whole bunch of texts and messages from people. And I don't know, I don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day, but I guess, people say Happy St. Patrick's Day, so I say it back to them, right? Whatever. So the Pride thing, though, there's kind of this weird expectation that because you're gay or because you're part of the community or one of them or however you want to word it, that you automatically celebrate it. And we don't. I've said many times that, my marriage, we're basically just two men in love and live together and, have a house and dogs, and that's that. We don't have rainbow flags everywhere. We don't have torso sculptures. We don't have, we would be, what's the word or the term that they use? Regular gays. We would just be regular gays. It's interesting how we have those sort of designations now within the community. But, it's interesting because just over the course of time, it goes back to, Stonewall and all the developments we've had since then. But I remember early on in the days when I first started hosting our syndicated radio show, I loved doing special editions of the show. So, for instance, when the Olympics happened in Vancouver, we kind of, we did a couple extra sort of fun shows. And then we did... there was the Haiti relief efforts. Was it an earthquake, tsunami? What was it again? And so we did a special 1 hour program for that, or maybe it was 2 hours, where we had UNICEF and we had, just different people on talk about that. So I like doing things like that. And one of the things that we did early on was Purple Shirt Day, I believe it was called. And we looked back because we still have all of our shows from, 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago. And it used to be called GLB. And I've seen this on Twitter where people in the gay community have this sort of anti-trans thing where, because it's become sort of it's become a sideshow really in certain circles on Twitter, where you have the people who are openly supportive of the trans group or community or whatever you want to call it. And then there's the people who are like, I'm gay, I'm not part of that. This is giving me a bad name, even though... And so I get it. And I'm going to tell you why I get both sides of the argument or position on that, and just the whole Pride thing in general. So that's what's coming up as we kick off Pride Month on The Scribble, and it starts right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here on The Scribble as we dive into Pride Month. And so they asked me just during the break to clarify. I personally don't go to Pride. I never have. Now, I have gone to it when we have... I was talking about those radio shows that we would do. We would cover a Pride event for a travel tourism broadcast. So we went to Jasper, Alberta one time. We covered their Pride. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. We covered their Pride. So I've gone to them for work. We have a swimwear company. The first year that we launched, we went to a whole bunch of Pride. So I've gone there for business-related purposes. But, let's say that it's, Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, whatever the Pride weekend is. Are we waking up in the morning, are my husband and I waking up in the morning and going, okay, let's go to the Pride festival. Let's go to the Pride parade. Let's go. No, we never have, ever. And so we're different like that. We just don't participate in things like that. And again, it's not anything that we're, we're homophobic. Yeah, we are. No, it's just not our scene. It's not even an age thing. It's just there's no interest in it. And when I've even gone to them, like I said, when we would have a booth at a Pride event or whatever it is, it just wasn't fun for me. It's great. I love dancing and, and going, walking around and going through different booths and, buying merchandise and, whatever's there. That's great. It's just not me. And I think, back in the day, I did feel that way because I would see the Pride Festival on TV and I became embarrassed by it. And why I did was because I was in the closet and I remember thinking, I was young. It's not like I was just, 5 years ago, but I was probably, I don't even know that I was a teenager yet. It was a long time ago. That's my point. And I remember seeing the Pride Festival on TV and being embarrassed because it would come on the news and I'm sitting there, in the living room watching TV with my parents or whatever it is. You got the big fat drag queen with the clown makeup. You've got, flouncing around. You've got them, the feminine bouncing and wrists flailing and the helium voices and all this. And I just remember being so embarrassed because I was like, oh my God, I know that I'm gay. And this is the representation of my community that my parents are seeing, or my brothers. I have, 2 older brothers. This is what they're seeing. I'm not one of them. I'm not, super feminine. I'm not, dressing like girls. I'm not, wearing makeup. I'm not doing anything like that. But when you're that young, you're kind of just like, oh, I'm being grouped in with that. Well, fast forward all these years later, that's kind of what's happened now, right? So, it was an embarrassment to me as a teenager because I just thought I'm not that type of gay. So I wasn't sure if I didn't belong in the gay community. Like, that's a really kind of weird feeling, right? Normally people feel because they're gay, they don't feel comfortable in like the straight world, if you want to call it that. But for me, I was like, I don't know that I'm like a gay, right? Like I'm kind of like a straight acting gay. Again, like I said, I didn't know that you can be, a masculine, feminine. Like, I didn't know all those different terms that the gay community has. Because I was young, I wasn't exposed to anything. We didn't have the internet back then. I didn't know anything about that. So I just remember when I would see it, I'd just be so embarrassed. I'd almost want to leave the room. Like, you'd think that as a gay kid, you'd be watching that going, oh my God, that looks so fun. Oh, no, I was just like, okay, that's not me. That's not me. I don't want, now people are going to, because that was the reaction that people like, my dad or whoever had when you would see the Pride Parade. It would just be all those fags. Look at all those fucking girls and those queers and whatever. Because that was the impression that was, what they were dressing like girls. I mean, that's, of course, people are going to say things like that. And so maybe that's where it came from. Like, I've never sort of grown to... I appreciate Pride. I guess I've just never grown to embrace it. Maybe that's the way to describe it. Now, I worked in a gay bar when I was... how old was I? 20... See, the drinking age where I grew up is 18 years old. So I started working there, I guess maybe I was 20 or 21. And I worked at the front door, like I worked the coat check. And I remember when we would have drag shows, that the performers would come in, they would have their little suitcase that they were carrying, dragging behind them. And they just had this attitude right from the very beginning, as though like, here, take my bag. Here, it's like, I don't fucking work for you. You're a performer here just like I work here. So like, that's not, no, you put your fucking bag behind the counter. I'm not doing it for you. So that's where my distaste or dislike of drag queens came in, because I was like, just because you put on fucking clown makeup doesn't mean you get to be an attitudey bitch and treat me like shit. No. And so I never liked drag queens just from that point. Yeah. Whatever. And again, that's where people will go and say, it's an art, whatever. My friend Darcy would say, he started watching RuPaul's Drag Race. This is a few years ago now. 6-7 years ago now, and he's like, well, you should watch it, you'll really like it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna be like screaming at because I just don't get it. Why does every drag queen have to have the attitude of being a bitch and a fucking cunt? Like, that doesn't, I'm not entertained by that. That doesn't. You can be a guy and do that. Why do you have to dress? Just because you put on the giant Dame Edna wig and you paint your clown makeup on, all of a sudden, the default is bitch. Fucking attitude. It doesn't... I don't... And again, I don't know many drag queens, so maybe I'm stereotyping them, but that's what you've given me to work with, okay? That was what I experienced working in a gay bar. Drag queen after drag queen after drag queen would give me this fucking attitude, like, and I'll fucking slap you. I will. I don't like it. That's not the way to talk to me. Like I'm a colleague, whatever. Play your character when you're out there for the crowd. But when you come in here through like the side, employee entrance or whatever it is, or when you come in, like talk to me like you're a regular person. So if your name is Tyler or James or Jim or Bob or whatever the fuck your name is, talk to me as that. When you're clowned up and when be your attitude out on stage, but the second you get off the stage and you come behind this counter, you talk to me like a regular fucking person. That's not, you don't boss me around. I'm not your slave, your servant, your assistant, your dresser, your makeup. I'm not. I'm your coworker. I'm your colleague. We're working at this together, okay? So, I don't know. It's just, so the pride thing is not for me. So when it's not an age thing. I've never got into it. So I was probably about 20. I can't think. The very first Pride that I ever went to, I had gone to Toronto to visit my friend Chris. Now, again, we're going back. So I was still living with my parents, so it's at least 20 years ago. It was probably around the time that I was working at the gay bar. I'm trying to think about it now. And so I'd gone to visit him, and it just so happened that it was Pride weekend that weekend. And so I was kind of like, oh, whatever. I mean, it's Toronto, right? It's the biggest city in Canada, and it'll probably be a really big event. And again, this is before the days of social media and the real sort of immediate exposure that you can have to the community, because we didn't have like internet and all that other crap back then. So I went to Toronto, and I remember them, he and his friends, Toronto was sort of an expensive city to live in back then too. And he had he lived with just a lot of people. So they had it was a big house, but there were a lot of roommates. And I remember them getting me dressed up, and, I had to have like the big, flamboyant sunglasses. I had to have the open shirt. I had to have, the tight pants. Like I was wearing all of their clothes. I was dressing just kind of like a regular straight guy. I didn't have anything skin tight. I didn't do stuff like that because that's just not me. So in the moment, it was kind of fun. These people are dressing me up and they're going to take me out for my first Pride or whatever. And I did not enjoy it one bit. We went to, obviously, we went to the bars, we did a whole bunch of things, and I looked back at the pictures when I got home. I had a digital camera. This is back in the day where we actually had a digital camera. Then you'd plug the thing into the computer, right? Then you'd download the pictures, whatever. It wasn't on phones then. And so I remember looking at the pictures and going, I can see it in my face that I'm not enjoying myself there. Like that just, it wasn't fun for me. It wasn't. The drama, just the whole, And I just think back, so when I was involved in the scene, as it was called, the gay community 20 some years ago, it was a little bit gossipy, it was a little bit, this fucking drag queen, and they would refer to them as she. I'm like, it's a fucking guy dressed as a girl. We're not talking trans here. We're talking drag queens. I'm not calling him a she because he's wearing a girl wig. I'm not doing it. I'm not. You can't make me, call me fucking a dragophobe or whatever the word would be. So for all of that, a 10-minute rant, I'm just not into the pride thing. I'm not into the drag queens. I'm not into the flouncing around, flamboyance, making us look like we're just a bunch of feminine, flouncy show. And like I said said at the start of the segment, if that's your deal, great, have fun. It's not for me, and that's okay. Can I judge you? Will I judge you? Yes and yes. And that's up to me. Just like you can probably go and say, oh my God, you're so close-minded. Oh, you're so... Well, you know what? I don't need that kind of stuff to have fun. I never did. I got a hot fucking tattooed, ripped, muscular fitness model Brazilian husband. I'm good. Because, what's also interesting then too about just, the social media world now and the gay community is that it is very dramatic. It's probably 15,000 times worse than it was. Like back then, it would just be, you'd hear these mumblings that, this drag queen is pissed at that one or whatever. Now I'm sure it's a fucking all-out brawl on these, trash talking and whatever because of the shows like, RuPaul and like it just, it's not for me at all. So I use that term that I'm a normal gay in the eyes of a lot of people. And it's sad to me that we have to have those clarifications, right? Those, where I have to go, like I almost have to defend myself and go, yeah, I'm not, because now this leads us into the trans discussion here, which we're going to take a break. So I will get to that when we come back on the Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
JB here, back on the Scribble as our kickoff to Pride Month begins. So big corporations, make sure you have your rainbow flags out there for the rest of the month. And then come July 1st, make sure it's all taken down and hidden away for next year. So there you go. I think that's, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that like it's almost like Christmas. It's just become so commercial. It's have your pride flag out there all year round. Don't just do it to pander to our community. It's like that's, and so I was saying that I think I got off track though when I mentioned that at the top of the show, which is maybe some people appreciate that. Maybe a lot, in I can't even say the gay community anymore. It's everything now, everything not straight. But that's I don't. It's, to me, I'm kind of like, ugh. I don't. Whatever. pander to the community. It doesn't make me shop there just because you have a flag. You changed your logo to be rainbow this month because it's the corporate thing to do now. Keep your logo multicolored. Keep it rainbow in August, September, October, November, December. Then we'll talk. Keep your rainbow flag in your window all year round. Then we'll talk. Let's shift gears, though, to the trans thing, because that's another big discussion within the gay community. I mentioned the segment of the community on Twitter that you have the normal gays who distance themselves from the whole trans debate. And I understand both sides. I understand, just like I was describing me as kind of like a straight-acting gay man, that pride isn't for me. It's just not. I was offended back in the day that I would be considered one of them. And so with the trans thing, like when Bruce Jenner, I've got a story because I was an entertainment correspondent for our syndicated radio shows. I still do it now, but when Bruce Jenner was sitting down with Diane Sawyer to do his big announcement, right? Nobody knew what it was. We speculated, but and so I was on the radio the next morning because it was the big story. And so the local station, whichever one it was talking to me, and they wanted to know what I thought about, Bruce Jenner revealing that he's, going through this thing. And I'm not easily offended by things, so I was kind of like, whatever, But it was that moment where I'm sitting here going, so because I'm gay, I automatically either have an opinion or can relate to, or like I'm suddenly the trans expert. Meanwhile, I've had a penis since I was born. I've never had, anything chopped off. I've never taken pills to change my, chemical makeup or whatever you want to call it, or physical makeup or biological makeup. I've never. So all of a sudden now you're going to defer to me because Bruce Jenner is becoming a woman. It didn't make sense to me. So because and I'm one of these. I've been on the radio for a long time, so I didn't flip it around and make it awkward because this was their station, and I'm always the entertainment correspondent, from another city. So I'm on your show or I'm on your air. I'm not going to flip it around and make you look like an idiot. I'm not going to call you out during the segment. So after, though, when we do the thing, and then it's like, all right, thanks for joining us today. All right, we're still on the line for a couple seconds. I said to the guy after, I'm like, why would I have an opinion? That would be like me asking you if you have an opinion. Like, what's the difference? And I had to sort of educate him in that moment to go, just because I'm gay doesn't mean that I can relate to the LBTQ+. I'm the G. That's all I am. So I would have an opinion on Bruce Jenner just like you would. So what that's going to do to the audience, right? That's going to do to the listener is, and not that they probably wouldn't have even known that I was gay anyway, but it's kind of like, like that'd be like asking a woman who's never had a baby, what she feels about, like how she would, she should be able to relate to a woman who's had a miscarriage. Well, why? Just because she's a woman? Well, like, what would that matter? That's like. And so, yeah, the Bruce thing, I'm supposed to have an opinion because I'm gay. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not how this works. It's not how it works. And that's what's happening, though, when it comes to Twitter, where you have all these people who are now all of a sudden becoming trans. I don't remember what the percentage was. Is it like 10% of the population now is non-straight, falls into that letter alphabet thing? And I'm sitting there going, I understand why the gay community wants to distance. I'm saying gay men want to distance themselves from the trans thing because it has become a little bit over the top, as it relates to people demanding, equality, attention, whatever it is. So case in point, one of my friends, not going to name her, but her son was in a relationship with a girl. Or woman, whatever, female. And so I've known about this. I've known them for a long time. She's the mom, like my friend is 50 something. And so her kids are in their 20s or maybe even 30s now that I think about it. So son was in this relationship for a really long time. I'd gone for lunch with my friend and she said, and I'm making up names here. She said, Chris, his girlfriend is she's going to be transitioning. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, so that's awkward because that would end the relationship now, or like what? And she said, no, he's going to stay with her. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's going to be interesting because you're attracted to a certain, thing or body parts or whatever you want to call it. That was new to me because I was like, well, if the love is, if he loves this person, then that's hopefully going to keep the relationship together, right? Because it's still the same, emotional connection that you have, and it's still, but is it though? Is it though? Like, is he going to all of a sudden now? So, okay, so you've got this person who's going to be coming, living life as a man. So now what does that do for Chris, the son? Because everybody knows this as his girlfriend, Jenny or whatever, Jane, let's say, Jenny, Jane. So, we all know them as Chris and Jen, but now it's going to be Chris and Jim. So what does that do to the son? Does he now tell people that he's got a boyfriend? He's got a girlfriend that's a man? And so I asked my friend this. I said, so is he attracted to guys though? Like what? And she said, yeah, he sat down and said, I guess I'm bi. And I thought, okay. And so, see, we were in public. Like I said, we were having lunch, so we were in public. I didn't want to just burst out laughing and go, okay, wait a second. This is really weird. Never has he ever said that he's attracted to guys. Ever in his life. Ever. And now all of a sudden, because the girlfriend is going to be transitioning, he's basically telling himself, yeah, I like guys. That's a problem, folks. That's a problem. And so I was kind of like, well, keep me posted because I have to know how this works out. I was thinking it wouldn't work out, but because that's my friend, I was hopeful. I was sort of hoping it would. And so she ended up telling me a few weeks later. By the way, this conversation was like a year or two ago, so it's not like it just happened. So a few weeks later, I poked again to find out, how things were going. And she said, no, they've ended things. And I kind of wanted to do that. I told you so sort of a thing. But again, I didn't want to go full asshole. I mean, she's known me for a long time, so I could have gone full asshole. And so I just said, that really complicates things because, what does that do to his mind, as I just said a moment ago? He's in love with a girl, a woman, with this person, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm going to be turning into a man now. So he basically felt like I love her, so I guess I have to change my category, I'm putting in air quotes, my category of being bi. So that's going to fuck with, not only his relationship status, but just his oh shit, I guess, okay, wait a second. So I love her, but she's going to have maybe attached man parts. Well, no, wait a second. What are going to happen to her female parts? So how are we going to do this? And what's going to happen when and ultimately he was just like, yeah, no. Now, the funny thing was that they, so the transitioning was already sort of in the process. And so my friend had said they had a family get together, a holiday. I don't remember what it was, Easter, Thanksgiving or something. And the girlfriend was coming by. And so my friend had to basically ask the son, well, what do we refer to her as? So is she your girlfriend? Because she's meeting people for the first time as well. So do we... Okay, so this is Chris's boyfriend, Jen, or this is Chris's girlfriend, Jim, or is it and so it just put him, Chris, in a very awkward position. Because he's sitting here going, I don't know how to explain this to people, but he felt, because the relationship he thought was strong enough, that whatever our category is, whatever, if I'm the boyfriend, the girlfriend, or she's the boyfriend, or he's the girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, well, we just got to make it work. And it didn't for them. Now, I'm not saying that that's the normal course of action. I mean, all relationships are different, but it just... I've had a discussion with another friend that I have. She's a teacher at an elementary school, and she said that she's never heard or seen so many kids kind of questioning their sexuality at such a young age. And I said to her, when I was in grade 4, I don't remember how old that I was at the time, I remember thinking that kissing, I thought that was sex. I didn't know in grade 4. So I'm not even a teenager at that point. That's what I thought sex was. I knew that I liked boys. I knew that very early. So that wasn't, nothing made me I wasn't exposed to things that made me that sort of made me question myself. I just knew growing up at whatever age I was, 4 or 5, okay, I'm attracted to boys. I like seeing them naked. Like when we would go, you go for a school trip, like to, the swimming pool or whatever it was. I remembered that I liked, seeing, boys and whatever. And that was it. It wasn't somebody saying to me, like I didn't have that outside influence of, hey, maybe I'm gay. Maybe I should be gay because it's the trendy thing to do, right? It's the whole, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. And it goes back to maybe why I kind of stepped back from the pride thing. Is like, you know what? It used to be cool when it was just, for a small group of us. But now it's turned into an everyone event and it's really not fun. So that's, she said, the teacher friend said, like, I've got these kids in grade, what grade does she do? 3, I think. She's got young kids. And she said that, one of them wants to be trans. And I thought, that would be like saying that I want to be gay, right? Like it's just, it's that's where the difference is, folks, when it comes to, gay is what I'm, attracted to. It's, and trans is it's not what you're attracted, like they're just not the same thing, right? They're different. Same thing like with the, I had a cousin years ago, I think I talked about it on the show. He messaged me one day and he said, I'd like to talk to you about something. And I said, okay, fine. And he came out as pansexual. And I said, okay, I didn't know what that was. I still don't know what it is, but he wanted to have a heart-to-heart. And so here I am, the token gay guy in the family. I was kind of like, all right, let me have it. And he's going on and on. I said, I can't relate to you. I don't know what that's like. I don't know. You're married to a woman. I don't like. Is your relationship staying the same? Are you like? He's like, well, I want to tell the family. And I said, okay. So what are they going to gain from knowing that? Like, what's the purpose of telling them that? What's the takeaway? We're at a family get together. It's, we're sitting at the Christmas dinner table, and then you go and say, I'm pansexual. What? Tell me the next 5 minutes. What's happening? And he said, well, we'd have a discussion, whatever. And I said, here's the thing. Me telling people that I'm gay is prefacing what I'm going to be bringing around, right? I'm going to be bringing around a man when I'm in a relationship, right? I'm going to eventually live with a man. I'm going to marry a man. Me telling people I'm gay is that's who I am, emotionally, not just sexually, right? So you're going to see me holding hands with a man. You're going to see me living with a man. You're going to, pansexual. That's something that's behind closed doors. That's like me. That would be like anybody. My aunt and uncle bringing up the sex life at the Christmas dinner table, right? Pansexual is your sex life. People are going to argue and go, well, not exactly whatever. Yes, whatever then. So if it's not gay, lesbian, or bi, which again is, arguably, and this is, again, I'm going to get such emails that I'm ignorant. Pansexual is sexual preference, yes, just as homosexual. But at the same time, I'm living with a man. I'm in love with a man. It's not just the sex part of it. So the pansexual thing, like, just because I'm gay, you're coming to me with this. I don't really know what to say. I don't know how to advise you, but have at it. Like, why do you feel the need to share your sexual preference with the family? I've been to family get-togethers for 40-something years. I've never heard anybody at a family get-together talk about sex. I never have. Maybe we're just not a close enough family. Doesn't happen in our family. Sorry, it doesn't. So to the trans thing, I mean, yes, I appreciate that people, have a different feeling about their life and their body, and that's up to them. Like, if that's how you want to live, if you want to make changes, if you want to alter, physically your body and whatever, that's up to you. I wish you happiness. Like, who am I to judge it? I mean, it's not for me. Just like going to Pride is not for me. If you want to go to Pride, go to Pride. If you want to, change who what you live as, have at it. But my point in mentioning about my friend, Chris, and then, the teacher friend, it's because it's become trendy, and it's become this whole sort of, it's great that it's acceptable or accepted. That's wonderful. But I wonder though how many people are kind of taking this step back. So that teacher friend, we're out of time. They're already wrapping me up. All right, well, I'm going to finish this and then we'll go. That the teacher friend, she's got 2 teenage daughters, and she said that, one of them came out to me as bi. I was like, all right, okay, cool, whatever. And she's got, one of her classmates is transitioning, and I just thought, that seems really I don't know. Now that leads us to the whole debate of, should kids under 18 be going through shit like that? And, what are the parents doing? And blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's a discussion for another day. I'm not a parent like that. So I would say, I remember, by the way, when I was very young, my brothers one brother is 2 years older than me. And the other one is, 77, 79, 82. Sorry. One of them is 3 years older than me. And the other one is 5 years older than me. And I remember they were getting, earrings. They were getting their ears pierced. So I was probably maybe 4 or 5 years old. And my mom asked me, do you want to get yours pierced? And I said, no. I had no interest in doing something like that to my body. I had no interest in putting a hole in my body. I was scared too. I mean, I was young. But she asked me, hey, your brothers are going. Is this something you want? No. She didn't force me. She didn't encourage it. It was just kind of, no, that's fine. I don't want to do it. Okay, that's it. And so I don't know. When your kid's a minor, should they be piercing? I guess is one thing, but I mean, it's still, you're having them do. I was gonna say piercing is mutilating your body. Is it? I guess it's. Well, I mean, it's doing something. In a sense, it is. Mutilate has such a negative connotation, but really, you are right. You're manipulating your. All right, now I'm rambling. Sure, they're saying shut up. They literally just said shut up to me, by the way. You don't hear it in your ears, but we're going to take a break, or we're done. All right, well, that's it. Boy, we've run overtime on our kickoff to Pride. Didn't I just set the tone for such a happy and positive month? Seriously, though, have fun. Just don't piss other people. Don't get in the way. Don't get in people's faces. Don't flaunt it where it doesn't want to be flaunted. Just live your life, do your thing. Don't piss people off. Don't get in their faces. Just have a good time. Don't be a public nuisance. Just do your thing. All right. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up The Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com. Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat